Before I forget, boom.
10-4.
There we go.
Recording in progress. Um, all right, well, good morning, tenfour. Me and Austin just woke up. Adrian has had a full day.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Oh yeah. What
um,
up, boys? Nice to see you.
Nothing much. It's good to see you too, man. Well, we can just start off
there we
how we
go.
do most of them. Just a little quick introduction. Uh, how long you've been riding, who you are, where you're from. Just let the
Okay.
people know.
So my name is Adrian Schreier. I come from the Czech Republic, Prague to be specific, but I lived in Berlin, Germany for about 4 or 5 years. So I spent quite a bit of time there. I started riding scooters since 2008, I think. So way back when we were riding the foldables and bolting them together and stuff. And yeah, most people probably know me or knew me through some of my brands and some of my activity with other shops and other people. So I guess to start in the beginning, I used to work for Scoot Shop, which is the number two scooter shop here in the Czech Republic. Was pretty much there since the beginning. Then I transitioned to scootforlife.com, which used to be like an online magazine, mostly in Czech. Even like interviewed Raymond Warner and stuff like that. So that was cool.
Oh
And
yeah.
then around 2012, I decided that I want to start my own scooter brand because I've just seen a big gap in the market and I thought I could fill it.
Mhm.
And then 2014, we launched Analog Scooter Co. Some of the OGs might remember. Probably
Yeah.
not many young kids will remember because it's been a while. But yeah, we pretty much first came out with pegs. They were stainless steel. Nobody's ever done that before. They slit really well. And they were stainless, so they wouldn't rust. So that was a nice thing. And yeah, the company went pretty well. And then we came out with the T-bars that had like the little nubbin on top. So the idea was that instead of welding the two bars together, you would slide one through the other, just weld it so it just stays in place and doesn't move around. And all the structural integrity would be from that pretty much pivot point instead of having it on top. So that really took off back in the day. People really liked it. Most people did. But then obviously there were people that would, complain about them hitting their head on top of the bar. But then again, if you're going to hit your head, you're going to get a concussion anyway. So that's not really how the product's supposed to be used. But
Yeah,
yeah, anyway, so
I think if you hit your head on the top of your bars, it's your fault.
Yeah. Skill
yeah.
issue.
I don't
I
think
mean,
it's the bar in the center that's
in the
giving them the
beginning, we
concussion.
didn't really have like a top cap. And granted, there were a few bars that weren't rounded off the way they were supposed to be from the factory. But then V2s already had like a full top cap, so that really you couldn't really cut yourself. The worst case scenario, hit your head. But
Yeah.
yeah, that product did pretty well. But then there was a few things that went wrong with the factory, a few things wrong on my end as well. Granted, I was still what 18, 19 when I was running it, so I really didn't have the foresight that I have now. And unfortunately, the company went bankrupt in 2017. Uh, it was a shit show, but it taught me a valuable life lesson. And I was like, okay, so this failed. Spent 2 years sort of making ends meet in a way that I can still sort of take care of the obligations I had. Because
Yeah.
obviously during the shit show, I owed some money. So I didn't really want to just bounce, even though in theory I could, but I didn't want to. So I paid everything off, and then yeah, there's people that see scooters as just a hobby, maybe for a few years, and then there's idiots like me that just have it as a lifestyle and just can't really get rid of it any way they can. So I spent 2 years thinking how I can get back to it because I really missed like the feeling of having your own product in your hand. And I came up with the idea of doing a wheel brand because I felt like there was quite a bit of things we could do better for wheels in general. And that's where the idea of vinyl scootering was born. And that's, I guess, how everybody, I guess, knows me, maybe doesn't know me. I'm not really pushing myself that much on like with the brand. I just like the brand to be out there, not myself anymore that much. But yeah, I'm the guy behind vinyl scootering.
Yeah, man. I mean, we had the pleasure of talking to you for a little bit over FaceTime, just to get to learn about vinyl a little bit more. Uh, and you're very passionate about scootering, so it's cool to and you bring a new perspective because you've been one, around a very long time, and then two, you've gone through the trials and tribulations of owning a company and doing all that. You've been through the ringer. So I really just want to I want people to know uh what to expect if they choose to start a company within scootering, maybe some tips, some things they can learn
Mhm.
from. I mean, that way they don't make some of the mistakes that you made, or what they need
Okay.
to watch out for in the future. Just that.
Well,
So yeah,
that's a very broad question.
very broad. Well, let's start off with this. I mean, what's been the biggest struggle when it comes to running a company in scootering?
Oof. I mean, there were a few.
Okay.
I'd say number one, if you're like me and you want to have product that's really yours, instead of going to China and slapping a logo on an already made product, like
Hmm.
quite a few brands are doing,
Hmm.
you need to have some money behind you. Number one, to put it into perspective, when you're, for example, making a deck, right? The forging die for if you're going to forge a deck, that can be between $5,000 and $25,000 just for that die. And then you have obviously you're going to have minimum order quantities and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, if you're really trying to start a company, I mean, first of all, you gotta sort of think about what you want to do. If you want to go and be like a full-blown scooter brand with all the parts, completes, all that, or if you want to like be a niche brand and focus on a few things that maybe you have better than anybody else. That's the
Right.
number one like difference, I'd say. If you want to do like an all-out big brand, I wouldn't do it if I didn't have at least $20,000. Bottom line, because as I said, if you want to have an original product, that means you're gonna probably want to come up with a deck that's gonna be 10,000, 15,000, $20,000 in molding easy. You're gonna have minimal order quantities, so the factories usually won't make anything under 800, maybe 1,000 units. So that's at say 30, $35 a deck. You can do the math.
Yeah.
Um, so that's number one. But number two, it is just sort of doing the right mix between marketing with the riders and staying true to being rider owned and to the culture and making it a successful business, because it's no sort of secret that this industry, as opposed to many other industries outside of sports, say agriculture for example, it goes through like a 5 year cycle, and that 5 year cycle like copies directly the economic cycle. So pretty much when shit hits the fan, scooters, skateboards, bikes, all that are the first to take the hit. It's the last thing you're gonna buy when you don't have money to buy food, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
So for me, over the 2014, yeah, 9 years that I've been doing this, uh, I guess the number one thing if you want to be successful is just thinking long term. There's so many brands out there that just do it for the now, invest money into the now, and then spend big time on flying out people, paying riders, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not saying paying riders is bad by any means, but they sort of do this, spend all that money elsewhere, and then shit hits the fan again. There's a big downturn. And in scootering, it's not a downturn like 10, 15%. You're talking one day you're selling containers, the other you're selling boxes, and the next week you're selling units of product. It's that bad. And then, this sort of tribulation come, and yeah, they're just not able to withstand that. And they usually are gone within a year and a half because they keep struggling. So the first thing they do is they'll go back to China, order titanium bars or whatever other popular product there is, slap the logo to keep themselves alive, lose their identity by doing this, lose riders because the riders are not backing what they're doing, and the cycle just repeats itself. So
Yeah.
I guess get money behind you. Don't do it unless you have solid ideas for products, because there's so many brands out there that just copy paste everyone else. And yeah, when you have that dialed in, and when you actually have some technical knowledge about how the products are made and what factory to use, for example, then do it. But yeah, I mean that's a very broad answer to your specific
Yeah.
question.
I mean,
Yeah, that was
it's
good.
a good answer though.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
definitely, yeah.
when you look at, for example, us, both analog and vinyl, with both brands, I took 2 years to prepare. And there's so many people that think, oh, I want a scooter brand in January. And in summer, they're already pumping out product. So
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to prototype and test your shit, figure out your profit margins, do all that
exactly.
shit.
Figure out who you want to work with. That's, in my opinion, number one. Even before product, even before all that. You want to think to yourself, okay, I'm gonna go into business with people where I'm gonna be exchanging tens later down the road, maybe thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars over a few years. Do I really have the right people that I can trust to do the job right? Number one. Because if you don't have that, you can have a great product, you can have a great team. But if you don't have that network behind you to push the product across the world, it's not going to work.
True.
Yeah. Um, okay, well, dude, what era did you start riding in? What year?
2008.
2008. So
2008.
to sort of put it in perspective, 2008, what you could ride, JD Bucks, micro bullets. Some companies were already a thing. TSI was starting up back then, I think. Proto was already on the come up, but I'm not sure if they were branded. I think they start 2009. But yeah, I started 2008, rode for like a year, broke my scooter in like literally 3 parts. And there was nothing to ride back then. I was like, hey, I don't have money to buy a new scooter. My parents are not going to buy me a new scooter every month. So I stopped riding, came back 2010. That's when the
Mm.
first Ultra Pro came out. I was literally walking from school and I see a guy from my school riding an Ultra Pro. I literally stop him, asking, what the hell is this? Realize
Chased him down.
it's actually like a one-piece deck. Mind blown. I'm like, I'm bad, bitches.
Yeah. That's sick.
Yeah.
So my first setup was like an Ultra Pro with Animal Edwin De La Rosa grips. And I remember the Ultra Pros came like 60 centimeters high with the bars. And it was just so tall for me back in the day. So I had to go back to the shop where I bought it and they would cut it down for me. So
Hell
Nice.
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, threaded
Yeah.
headsets as well.
Hell yeah. Those were terrible.
Oh yeah.
Garbage. Dude, when did you found analog?
I was 2014. So 2012, I
2014.
started thinking about it. And then 2014, I had the first sort of team and a couple of pegs that were made in Czech Republic. Because even with analog in the beginning, I wanted to do it like in Czech Republic completely. I didn't want
Mm.
to go to China. But I remember very clearly 2014, I went to like local, because in 2014, that was around the time when due to some family issues, I was sort of slowly coming back to Czech Republic from Berlin because my family stayed in Berlin to live with my grandparents. And I remember like staying at my grandparents for like a holiday and going to this local small factory, like where they have like CNC machines and stuff, with my little drawing on an A4 and like, hey, I have this product. Could you make it for me? It's like he just looked at it as like, how much of that do you want? Like 500. And at that point, I was like, I'm gonna tell him 500, let him give me the pricing, and then sort of go back with him to go like 200 maybe. And he's like, well, add 3 zeros and come back, and just literally handed me the drawing and shut the door in my face.
Damn.
And I was just
Damn.
standing there, and my granddad was in the car watching. I just turned on like, and he's like, what? So yeah, I went back to the car. I think I was pretty close to crying as well, because like you go there all
Yeah,
excited,
yeah.
thing,
To
and
pitch
they're
your
like,
idea.
yeah, pretty much, fuck you.
Yeah. Bro.
So yeah, that hurt. That
Yeah.
really hurt.
Peasant.
But yeah, I mean, I was
Yeah, I
what,
mean,
16, 17.
you
So
fucking try to do it. A lot of people don't even do that, man. You walked into the shop. At least you had the balls to get that shit done. Instead of ordering it
yeah,
online in
I mean, I was
Alibaba.
scared as hell. Yeah, but hey, like it was an experience, but I knew of China. I used to work for Chile Scooters for about 6 months before I realized they were assholes.
Mm.
And that's the old Chili scooters. Not, I think they were bought up, and I'm not sure who's running it now, so I might be wrong. But yeah, shots fired.
Still trash scooters.
Yeah. So I knew that China was a thing, and I knew that's what everybody was doing. But yeah, I wanted to stay true, so I tried Czech Republic at first. But yeah, I got a few units made through like my granddad's friend because he was like, "Hey, I remember," because my granddad, he is a carpenter, but like an artistic carpenter. So he would, for example, work on the chairs for the Prague Castle and that sort of thing.
Oh, hell
And
yeah.
he would do like a lot of church work as well, like restoring old churches. And he was
Mm.
like, "Hey, I remember this one guy. He would weld stainless steel for one of the jobs that I was doing. Let's try and go talk to him." So we drove there like the next day because my granddad, he is a G. Like he saw me in pretty much in tears. So it's like, I gotta fix this. So we go to this guy, and it's like a typical Eastern European village dude welding in his garage, drinking beer, smoking like a pack every hour. He's like, "Well, son, what do you want?" I'm like, I need this to be done on a lathe, and while you weld, can you make bars?" He's like, "What do you mean bars?" So I explained him the idea of a scooter bar and stuff like that. He's like, "Well, all right, well, get the material, I'll try and weld it, right?" So yeah, I got the material, got that first prototype welded, and through one of his friends, we were able to make like, I don't know, 30 pegs, something like that. And they were chunky. The wall thickness was like 3.5, 4 millimeters. So you
Oh,
could barely stick a ratchet in, like barely.
Yeah.
But yeah, like they were heavy. They're like 60 grams each or something stupid like that. But or yeah, no, 120 because 60 grams were the V2s. And
okay.
yeah, I gave it to the team. And I remember around the time when I was, because then I went back to Berlin for a bit, and then it was my time to actually leave Berlin. And one of my good friends from school, keep in mind, this, I'm like 16, 17 now. I told him about the idea that I have some prototypes, but that we would really need to go on tour with the team at the time, which was pretty much just Czech riders, but good ones too. But that I don't have the money, right? We're planning to go from like Prague to Slovakia to Bratislava, through Austria, like Vienna, and then back to Prague. And I remember him telling me, "Hey, don't worry about it. I'm gonna help you out." I'm like, "What do you mean you're gonna help me out?" He's like, "Don't worry about it. I got it." And I remember his mom had like a factory for lights in Berlin, so he would work there as a side job to make money. And like I think the day before I was supposed to leave for Czech Republic for good, I get a call from him. He's like, "Meet me at the train station." So I go to the train station, and he just hands me 300 euros. He's like, "There you go, bro. You can go on tour now." I'm like, "What do you mean? I don't have the means to even pay you back." He's like, "Don't worry about it. Just go on tour. Good luck."
Damn.
So shout out Valentin Kamatovsky. Uh, I still remember that. I'll give it back to you one day.
Fuck yeah.
So
Fuck
so
yeah,
yeah, I
man.
mean, we went on tour, shot a video, and that was like the official beginning of the brand. But yeah, very soon after, a lot of the team left just because I didn't really have the means to fund a full production run of anything. And there was a different brand starting up in Czech Republic back then, so they all went there. And then I was back to zero, actually. I had no team. I had like two guys left. I had no product. And yeah, that was 2012. And then 2 years later, 2014, I was able to restart it. Met the owner, well, one of the owners of Ethic, Kevin, when they came to the Prague Street Jam. Pretty much just sat next to him and like talked to him for like an hour straight about this. He realized, hey, maybe this guy's got some good ideas. So he put me in touch with their factory in China. And coincidentally, like a week later, we have a surprise visit at my grandparents' house from like an old family friend that knew me from back when. His wife used to be the director of my kindergarten. Like that's how far back we would go. And he was an accountant. So I pretty much went to him like, "Hey, I have this idea. I know it's gonna work. I thought it through like 1,000 times." So he's like, "Okay, well, I'll give you a deal. I'll talk to my wife about this, and I'll come back in like a week." So they come back in a week. He's like, "So here's the deal. Go back to high school, finish high school, and as long as you stay in school, I'm gonna help you start the company." I'm gonna give you some money in the beginning. I'm gonna let you run it through my company, and then when you're ready, you can do it on your own. I was like, deal, and that's where our
Sweet.
started.
So you dropped out of high school?
I had to drop out of high school because we moved to Berlin when I was like 14,
Hmm.
and I had a pretty rough childhood in terms of just growing up. I mean, I'm an ADHD kid. Uh, and let's say the family dynamic wasn't always ideal. But yeah,
Yeah.
we somehow made it all the way to Berlin where my dad had a job. And I mean, you take a 14-year-old kid from everything he knows, even though it wasn't awesome, but it was something, to a completely new country, completely new city. I used to go to a German school here in Prague, and then all of a sudden I go to an international school that's in English. Keep in mind,
Hmm.
I've been switching to German for the last 2 years, so my German was dominant. My English was all the way in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I struggled for a bit in school, but luckily, thanks to my ability to learn languages pretty fast, I somehow like made it and I was somewhat happy. But then like the true puberty hit and I mean chronic depression, anxiety. I'm not, I don't really talk about it that often, but since we are here, I'm not afraid to admit it. I was suicidal at some point. So
Yeah.
uh, yeah, everything just
Yeah.
pretty much started shutting down around me. And I made it to all the way through IGCSE, which is like the first step to go to an IB program, which is like the international, I can't even pronounce that. Like it's like an international diploma high school type thing that allows you to even like skip year one of uni at certain universities, like the best there is, right?
Yeah.
So I even made it to just before that, and they said, "Hey, it's not an issue of him being not intelligent enough. Like he's got everything he needs to do it, but with his current mental state, it's so mentally challenging for people that are just fine, and he's not really fine right now. So maybe this is not the greatest idea." So yeah, I had to go back to Czech Republic, and I went back to like a regular high school that was focused on accounting. And yeah, I finished. I went straight into year two because we have a 4-year programs here. So yeah, I was able to graduate high school in 3 years while running
Fuck
analog,
yeah.
while flying to China, while going on trips. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Perseverance. So
That's
you,
dope, man.
yeah, that
Yeah.
is sick. I mean, that's fucking wild that you had to. I mean, I grew up in a military town, so I've been around a lot of people that have had to move and just like new to
Yeah.
schools and blah blah blah. I hear all those stories, but they never had to learn a whole ass language.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I knew English. I had English lessons like private
yeah.
tutors since I was maybe 12. So I like English wasn't like a new thing for me.
Hmm.
But keep in mind, like since I was 11, I start learning German to go to a gymnasium. So the way it works here is you go through 5 years of school, and then you can either go stay in that what we call an elementary school for another 4 years. So it's like a 9-year program, or you can split at year five and do year six, seven, eight, nine at either a high school or a gymnasium. And a gymnasium is for the kids that want to go to college. It's like that sort of highest level there is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So since I was 11, I was learning German and preparing to apply for a German gymnasium here in Prague, where pretty much half the subjects were in Czech, half the subjects were in German. So I did 2 years of that. I did year six, year seven, and then year eight, year nine, year 10, I had to do it English. So I went 2 years
Yeah.
German, 3 years English. So yeah, I mean, I would speak Czech at home, speak German in the skate park, and speak English at school. So
Jesus.
it was funny.
Yeah.
Got you dialed though.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
What language do you think in?
that's a good question.
Damn.
It depends. It depends. But
Mm,
when I go through my thoughts, it's a 50-50 split between English and Czech.
okay.
Because during the shitty time in Berlin, my English teacher sort of took me in, and they were acting like sort of like my foster parents in a way for like a month at a time or whatever. And I mean, she was Dutch, but her husband Kevin is American, so I pretty much spent even more time in in an English speaking environment. So for me, it's a 50-50. When I came back to Czech Republic, I pretty much thought 80% English, 20% Czech.
Okay.
Now, it depends. When I was working for American companies, I was 70% English, 30% Czech. Now I've been working for a Czech company for a year, so that sort of switched like 50-50.
Mm,
Yeah.
okay. That's impressive.
Dope. Well, I have a question about the 300 euros. Like, is that a lot of money, or like, did that fund the whole tour, or just kind of like you're going,
Um,
or like, I was a little like confused by that.
well, 300 euros got us pretty much gas money and a little bit of food money for a week.
Dope.
So that's
Okay.
like 330 bucks American.
Yeah.
But keep in mind it's 2012. So,
You're taking trains
Going
everywhere, right?
further.
Or I mean, were you
no, we
flying
were driving
anywhere?
actually.
You were
We were
driving?
driving
Oh,
because
okay.
one of the riders, he was of age and had a car. So just all five of us would pile into this old Volvo and just drive.
Word.
We didn't even have
Nice.
hotels or anything. We would like literally, I'd sleep in the car sometimes, or we would just sleep on literally on like a field in a field somewhere, and it was wild, like really wild. But I
Scooter
loved it.
trip.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, that's how it goes.
yeah.
Yeah. Hell yeah. That's dope, man.
Well, dude, I wanted to also get into vinyl just because we talked a lot about that and just kind of this was a long process for you to start up that company and it's your current project. So, what were the beginnings of vinyl? I know you started it because you couldn't give up scootering,
Yeah.
but what was, I mean, just take us through it.
So, uh, pretty much like 2021. Yeah, I think so. 2021. I was just leaving my job with UPS, the logistics company, and uh, luckily I was paid very, very well with UPS. So I was able to pay off all the debt I had. And I remember the day when I paid off like the last cent. I was like, okay, now what? Right? I'm in the clear. Do I give up on this or what? So I was like, yeah, fuck it. I don't need scooters for my life. It's just too much work. So I stayed like that for like, I think about 3 months. And then I was like, yeah, nah, I can't. I have to go back. So
Were
I
you
thought
dreaming
of this.
about it?
Oh yeah.
Did you have scooter nightmares?
Oh yeah. I mean, it got to the point where I would literally like wake up with like a new deck design in my head. No idea how it got there. It was just there. So I would
Touched
just,
by the scooter gods.
Mhm.
yeah. I mean, I was so the most I'd do during these 3 months is just go and work on it in CAD just to get it out of my head, just to
Hmm.
be sure in case I ever get back into it to have it somewhere. And then
Yeah.
yeah, I remember me and at the time my best friend, he was like, "Hey, I bought this electric longboard, and I went to this like competition on like an actual like racetrack for cars, but they would just ride the longboards. And I met this dude, and he can make wheels, man. And this is Mike, or we call him Troop. He was one of my best friends in high school, and he would even like go to some events, help me with analog. So he knew what I was doing with scooters. And so I'm like, yeah, cool. And he's like, yeah, there's gonna be another competition like in a town like 2 hours away, and he's probably gonna be there. Want to come? Maybe you can talk to him. I was like, all right, why not? And at that time, I was already like thinking about restarting my activity with scooter brands, but I didn't really know what it could be. And just coincidentally, since this guy was able to make wheels, and I mentioned to Mike like 2 weeks prior that I'm thinking about wheels as one of the things we could do. I went there, met the guy, super charming. Yeah, we could do scooter wheels. My kid used to ride scooters. We tried it, whatever. So I got some samples made, and they were awesome. But the contact with them wasn't that great. And I felt, how when you meet somebody and they're nice and everything, but something tells you to not trust them. Like that was that
Yeah.
specific moment where I was
He
like, I
is
don't
all
know.
charisma.
Yeah, yeah. And he like in Czech Republic or in Eastern European Slavic countries overall, we have this idea of um when we are polite, we say they, and when we're like friends, we say they. So it's like but like two different avenues of that. And when you're in a business relationship, for example, you say they, not they. And he kept wanting to say to say they for me, like as a friend. And I kept going back and forth with him with this. And I was like, why is he doing this? Because usually when people try to do this, I mean, with UPS, I had like hundreds of business meetings. So that was just my personal experience that when people try to do this, they're trying to do that so they can have more control over you. That
Hmm.
you're going to let more things slide because you're already on like a
Because you're
buddy base.
friends. You're
Yeah.
tees.
Yeah,
That's my
exactly.
tee.
Exactly. So
Nah,
I
V. Slow your roll.
there you go. Yeah, but I just caved in. I was like, okay, fuck it. Let's see where this goes. So he delivers the first prototypes and they're cool. We love them. So I order small run, literally like 30 wheels or whatever. And he's like, okay, they're gonna be done in a month. Well, fucking 2 months later, they're still not done. And he tries to weasel out of everything. And every time I try to hold him accountable for something, he flips it on me. So it's my fault. So I'm like, yeah, fuck this. I'm gonna do this on my own. I was like, it can't be that hard, right? Well, shit. Little
Famous
did I
last
know.
words.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it can't be
Yeah.
that hard, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So at the time, I just met this BMX dude that was an engineer, and I told him about the idea. He was like, "Yeah, I'm down to do it with you to help you out and shit." So he drew up some molds. I started just Googling polyurethane manufacturers and came up with one of them and realized they have an office in Czech Republic. So I literally straight up called up the office. I'm like, I'm this, and this. I need this. Can you help me out? And the lady's like, yeah, well, I just do like the accounting and shit. So I really don't know. But give me your email address and I'm gonna give it to the people abroad and they're gonna get in touch with you. So one of the people from that country got in touch with me. And sorry for censoring this, but this is all pretty confidential stuff. But yeah, one of the guys got in contact with me. We had a call like we have now where I explained to him what we need. So he gave us this like 5-part system that we could use. So just samples of it. So we just start working on that. I got some molds done here locally. They cost an arm and a leg, but we got it done. So we start messing around with it, and it was just a shit show. Like it, it wasn't anywhere near like a wheel. It was just a blob of something. So half the time it didn't even go solid properly and stuff. So then I went back to the drawing board, flew to one of their offices abroad where they have like a testing lab where they test all the products and help customers out. So I was able to pour some wheels there, but then we started having dehubbing issues. So, long story short, after about a year, we got to the point where we realized that this 5-part system really isn't for us. And there was an alternative that wasn't 5 parts, it was less. So we start working with that. And all of a sudden, we get to the point where, okay, the wheels are not perfect by any means, but it's starting to look like a wheel at least.
Yeah.
So yeah, we kept trying it out. And keep in mind, at this time, I'm working as a key account manager for an American logistics company. So I have like 5 major accounts to take care of during the day. So I wake up at 8, work until 5, eat some food, leave at 6 for my parents' house for their garage where we were doing this stuff, start pouring at like 7:30, and then go back at like 1 a.m. And we did this for 3 or 4 months straight
Jesus. And
with
you're
like,
just like whipping up molds, right? Like you're like trying to figure out
yeah,
urethane
yeah,
consistencies and
exactly. We would literally pour one wheel a day to try and see where the process can be improved, what's causing, for example, we had huge issues with bubbles at first,
Mhm.
right? So that went on for a while, and then I got to the point where I was like, okay, it's not really working out. And with that engineer friend of mine, he was getting frustrated. I was getting frustrated because I mean he's an engineer, so he likes everything exactly how they
Mhm.
say it should be done. And I'm something between a person with like an engineering hobby and a creative person. So for me, it's getting a feel for the material and then going by the feel.
Yeah.
So he's like, hey dude, sorry, I'm out. Like I can't do this anymore. It's taking up too much time from me as well, and I just can't see this happening. So just like with analog, there was a point of like, oh fuck, I'm on my own now. But we got to the point where the wheels were nearly there, literally nearly there. And there was this one thing I wanted to change in the process, and he wouldn't let me. In essence, it was just increasing the temperature in one of the stages, like 10 degrees. And he was like, no, 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 definitely not. That's not how the manual says it should be done. I'm like, but dude, like, I have a really good feeling about this. Let's try this. No, 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 no way. So he leaves. I'm like, fuck it. I'm on my own now. I can actually try it. So I tried it. That was it.
Yeah.
I literally remember the day when I took out the mold, broke it open. I was like, perfect wheel. It's like, yes, we got it.
Yeah.
Dude, that's
So
Fuck
got to
yeah,
be the greatest feeling in the world. What did it take?
uh,
5 months? 4 or 5 months?
well,
Maybe
nearly 2 years. Nearly
two.
two years.
Oh, okay. When you were,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
to get that wheel. And then
2021. Yeah. It
how
was when,
long of molding, 2 years of molding in your parents' basement? Oh my God.
keep in mind, we would be out, like both of us, we'd be there any like time of the year, whether that be now when it's literally fucking snowing, or whether that be in summer when you were working with the ovens that are literally hot as hell. So you would be
Mhm.
sweating through everything you would be wearing. And we would have to set up and pack away everything every time. So it would be like an hour and a half of straight just setting it up, 3 hours of pouring, another hour of packing everything away
Damn.
every day,
Jeez, man.
every week for like 2 3 days off, like straight after each other, and then like a weekend off, first 2 days of
Yeah.
the off, and then again 3 days in a row. So
Oh my
yeah, it was an
God.
incredible feeling, but it was a journey. And the thing is that I self-funded everything. So I put all my savings into this. I remember specifically, I remember that one point where I was just sitting behind the computer with an invoice from like a local manufacturing company, because in the beginning we would do cores here locally,
Hmm.
for realizing that we can get better quality material and better quality cores in China. And I remember when I was looking at that invoice and comparing it to my bank account balance, and after subtracting everything I needed to live that month, because I was living with my ex-girlfriend back then, so we would split the bills a little bit, and we have this budget. So I took the money from my bank balance, sent it to our joint account, and I literally had $5 extra after I would pay this invoice, and I was like, shit. I guess I should decide if I really want this,
Yeah.
because like $5 is not really much. And if shit hits the fan, I have big issues. But yeah, I pulled the trigger. And I mean, I was in this situation numerous times during this journey, where I
Yeah.
would literally like budget like money per day. So I would have to survive, so I could survive. And then anything else I had on top of it would go into the company. But yeah,
Wow.
after 2 years, we had the first good wheel, and at that point, I just went to my parents because our relationship got a lot better than it was when I left Berlin. Uh, and I was like, "Hey, mom, hey, dad." So I got this perfect wheel because they were with me throughout the whole thing. So they've seen my tries and my failures, and they were like as emotionally invested in it as I was, because they've seen me come with like, oh, it went well this time. I really think this is it. And then coming back 20 minutes later with like just a blob of material on a core. And like, nope, not again, it's not it. So I was able to borrow some money, and it wasn't much, but it was just enough for me to order the first batch of cores from China and molds. And yeah, we started pouring, and we were doing better and better and better. But keep in mind, at this stage, we were able to pour like 3 wheels at a time.
Yeah.
So when you actually want to pour a bigger amount of wheels, when you're pouring three at a time, it takes a long ass time. So I was still at the stage where I'm able to make wheels. I'm able to make nice wheels that feel good, but I'm nowhere near able to like produce wheels in the numbers I need to just supply shops with, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I did that for a while. A lot of testing, a lot of hyping up, all that sort of thing.
Hmm.
But yeah, until a month ago, I was still pouring three at a time. So I would spend the whole day and end up with like 20 wheels.
Damn.
But
Yeah, I mean, still
yeah,
pretty
I
good for
mean,
you're doing everything on your
it is
own,
what it
man.
is. It took a lot of work, but right now we're able to pour a lot more at a time. I'm not gonna say how many, but a lot more at a time. And we're just pumping it out in bulk. And I went to Switzerland to see Andreas, which is Wonder Crab, which is one of our team riders.
Hmm.
I delivered some wheels there. And I've seen just the reaction from people that I've seen just was like, okay, this is gonna work. People are really excited about this. Everybody was like telling me, how excited they are about the wheels that are gonna buy them, that they have their local shops, they're gonna talk to their shops and stuff like that. So I came back from Switzerland and I was like, okay, let's do it. I received the course from China. I set up a B2B, talked to a few shops, and yeah, we're here. We're sitting here 2.5, 3 months later. We're completely sold out.
Fuck yeah.
So we
Congratulations.
good.
Yes, sir.
Hell
Hell
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it's probably an awesome feeling and some great motivation to just keep doing what you're doing, you know? Kind of like
Yeah,
validates that you're on the right path at least.
it is a great feeling. Don't get me wrong, but it is a lot of pressure as well because now it's not about me pushing wheels onto people. It's people pushing onto me to get wheels. And most like 95% of the time, it's just me making the wheels. Like, the recipe is right here. I'm like Coca-Cola. Like nobody else knows the recipe but me.
Yeah.
So,
Don't take the Coke out. Keep that shit in there.
yeah. So for me, it's just a matter of streamlining the process and being able to make these wheels at a scale that I'm comfortable with and keeping the quality as good as it is because I really pride myself in the fact that every single wheels goes through a hand of at least one rider. And if the wheel is not up to par for whatever reason, then it's just not going out to the customer. Right. So yeah, I literally have buckets of Blem wheels that are completely rideable. For example, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see it. Yeah, probably not.
Yeah.
There
So
you go.
it's not focusing. Yeah,
I
never
mean,
mind.
we can see it, but it's a little
It's,
blurry.
I mean, we can, edit something in or whatever, but pretty much the
Yes,
idea
we can.
is that this wheel is perfectly rideable,
Put it on the screen.
but there is a little bit of release agent stuck to the core, so there's like white marks, white streaks on it, not going to the customer. Not good enough for
So,
me.
Just
what do you
just sell them.
what do you plan on doing with those wheels?
I mean, for one, you boys are going to be getting some.
Yeah.
Uh,
Thank you.
yeah, you're actually. I'm actually going to go through like the bucket. Um, I'm actually gonna I'm
I'm
gonna go
hyped.
through the bucket and like literally just give you a selection of colors and all that. See, so the most, for example, this colorway has never seen the light of day yet. So it's pretty. This is pretty much like a blue, like Indra Butal signature wheels with dark purple. So this is
Word.
one of one in the world.
Hell
But
yeah.
yeah,
Shit.
so I'm gonna do that for you boys. So you have some different
You
colors to try out and maybe
love
show off
that.
in the podcast.
Yeah.
Is there any chance we could get an extra set of blims to give away for free?
I would be more than happy to do that. Yeah, let's do
Sweet.
that. Let's do
Be
like a
sick.
call out post on Insta or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Shout it
Little
out.
giveaway. Yeah.
Actually,
Be sick.
let me see real quick because I was filming a video with Christian Albrecht. He went to the States, so you probably know him.
Yeah.
And we poured a very limited edition of wheels, which is even darker purple than this, and on the black core. And what we could do, we could I could send you a pair of those because there's only 3 or 4 pairs in the world, so it's a little bit more exclusive. and I got two of the same color. That's the main thing.
Oh
So we
damn,
could
yeah.
we could we
Full
could do
pair.
that giveaway, like
Oh yeah.
exclusive Christian Albert.
Heady giveaway.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. The lean wheels.
Sheesh.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna send you a bunch of them, and you can do whatever you want. If you want to do two giveaways, be my guest.
Fuck yeah. Well, hey, we'll do one
Yeah.
for YouTube and then we'll do a little collab post. But if y'all, whoever makes it this far, if you want a wheel, comment down below. If you're on Spotify, come to YouTube, subscribe, like, turn the notifications on.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Dude, that would be
Yeah,
dope. I'm
yeah.
uh I'm definitely hyped to just try a pair, honestly, myself.
The thing is that, like, people, when they see them for the first time, they usually say, "Oh, they look nice," but you can
Yeah.
see that they think, "Oh, just another scooter wheel." But when they
Mhm.
put them on, we're using a completely different material that's never been used in scootering or in scootering in general. Like, nobody's ever done that. It's a
Yeah.
completely different kind of polyurethane that's a lot harder to work with compared to what brands like AO, Ethic, Proto, whoever are using at the moment. So you're gonna be surprised how soft the wheels are, but they're still really fast. If you would go this soft like these are with like a regular style of polyurethane, there wouldn't be nearly as fast, and they would probably wear down in like a month. So
I can't wait to try them.
I mean, it's going to be very interesting for me to see what you guys think, because we take a lot of care making these. Just fun fact, it takes 24 hours for us to go
Damn.
from not having anything to having a complete wheel, because we post cure them for a lot longer than everybody else. It costs more, obviously, but it makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah. Well, that's
Fuck yeah.
dope, man. I think wheels have always been something that, like, when I was on AO or now that I'm on Proto, it's like I don't ever ask really for bars or decks that often, but like wheels, I've always consistently just ran through.
Yeah.
So,
Shred wheels.
like, I feel like I can know like what's up with this wheel. I'm definitely excited to like
And
actually
I mean,
just go
let's
ride
face
it.
it, it's the wheels that make the feeling of your scooter a lot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Especially
So
we're riding on a lot of bullshit out here. I mean, the ground's
Yeah,
like just
sucks.
asphalt. Even, I mean, downtown U2 is just a bunch of pebbles. So, I mean, I'm
hey,
excited.
we tested these in Eastern Europe. There's nothing worse than Eastern Europe for this.
Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah.
Like fucking Chernobyl
Yeah.
wheels.
That's
Fuck
sick.
yes.
Um, well, I had a question about too, like what colors are you able to make? Like basically any that you want, and same with the cores, or like do you have any
So
restrictions there?
so for colors, for cores, we obviously have to get them made in China first.
Yeah.
So we do 3 to 4 production runs in China every year, where we specify what sort of shade of what color, usually according to the Pantone color charts, and then what sort of laser etching we want on it. Most of the time, the laser etching is done in China, but sometimes we even laser etch here locally. So, for example, all the Andreas wheels are laser etched by me here in Prague for the
Dope.
first batch, and then if it well, not if it already did, but like when it catches on and we get more orders for them, I'm gonna get the laser etching made done completely in China already, so I don't have to like mess around with it. But
Dope.
what I'm trying to say is we're flexible on color for color, as long as we have that color in stock. We are 100% flexible on the laser etching. So, you have that outside rim here that has the laser stuff, and then one of the spokes has our logo. Everything else we can laser here in Prague custom.
Oh yeah.
And then for the polyurethane color, your imagination is the limit, literally.
Hell
I
yeah.
hand mix each shade of polyurethane, so I'm able to control how dark, how light the color should be, what the color should be. I'm able to add like some sort of glitter into it. For example, I tried that, worked pretty
Oh
well.
yeah. Those are
Uh,
sick.
I'm able to even like, I'm not sure if I have one of those here. I don't, but I'm able to go half half, so I can do half black and then pour again half white, for
Oh
example.
shit.
I'm not able to go half
Clean.
half like that, but I'm able to do it like that.
Okay.
That's
Hey,
sick.
comment down below your favorite scooter wheel color or scooter wheel color that you want to see.
Yeah. And then yeah, I mean we're even like we went even to the length of installing checkmate bearings.
Yeah.
Mm.
Hell
So
yeah.
so that's a thing. And even like the spacer between the bearings, I buy like a lot of bulk skate spacers from China, and then I hand grind them to the tolerance because there's about 0.2 millimeters of difference between what it needs to be and what it usually is. And each
Yeah.
of them is different. So I literally go to the grinding disc with each spacer and go down to 10.05 to 10.1 millimeters.
Damn.
So when you actually shake it, it's not gonna rattle.
That's sick. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
So
That's
much
sick.
pretty
tech.
autistic when it
Yeah.
comes to wheels by now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I want my
That
wheels to
sounds
be on
dope.
the spectrum.
So yeah, that's the wheels.
Hell yeah.
One of the last things I just want to point out. Um, Let me actually show you. So I have this old core here, and you see how shiny it is.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So usually this is how you get it from when you get Chinese wheels. At most, they're gonna make little ridges in it, but it's this sort of shiny. What we do is we sandblast them, but not using sand, but we're using like a ground up slag from a steel foundry. So when you picture it, picture like a volcano rock ground up into little pebbles and then
Okay.
shot at high velocity against the aluminum. And what you get is pretty much like a grip tape feel on the outside. And we about double to triple the surface area of it. And then we apply like a chemical primer that eats away a little bit on the aluminum and also on the polyurethane and just joins them together. So you not only have like a mechanical bond with having like ridges and stuff here, but you also have the chemical one. So I'm happy to say we had zero D hubs of the Republic wheels, and
Fuck
we
yeah.
and we are around number 500 by now. So
Sweet.
Yeah, that's killer.
Yeah.
all right, enough of me trying to sell vinyl wheels. Sorry about that.
Yeah. No, you're good.
Buy the fucking wheels.
Yeah. And
I
use our
dare you.
discount code.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Fuck
you can go on the website and order them. Unfortunately, I'm probably gonna put up some blems on the website. So
Okay.
combine that with a discount
yeah.
code, you're gonna get a really good deal on
Yeah.
those.
Yeah. I
But
was
in
gonna
terms of
say,
like the regular wheels, I literally last night I packed the last order for a shop and I had to send them an email today that I'm short a few pairs because I'm completely sold out.
hell yeah.
So yeah,
Love
hopefully in the
that.
spring.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well,
Yeah, that's sick.
discount code tenfour. TENFOUR.
All
Bro.
right.
10 for 10% off.
That just goes together.
That's crazy. But yeah, I was gonna say already, like you should definitely, I know like Andrew, he sells his blem wheels for a cheap rate because it's like you may as well. Like most of the time when I ask for wheels from him, I'm like, just send me a fuck ton of blims. Like I don't even care.
Yeah.
And then I know like he'll send me a lot more than he would the regular ones anyway.
I
So
mean, there's blems and blems. For example, I have this one here. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see it, but probably not. But what I'm trying to show you is that around this ridge,
mhm.
the there isn't enough polyurethane, so there's this dip where it's just missing. It's not flush with the core. So these blems I have to refinish and maybe pour again later. But there is blems that have cosmetic blems or a small bubble or whatever. So those will be available on the website before Christmas for sure.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Fuck yeah. That's dope, man. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I think we could parlay into Phil's top 10 now if you want, Paxton.
Yeah. Shout out Phil.
Shout out Phil, as always.
Goat.
But yeah, we got number one. If you're ready for it, who is the Michael Jordan of scootering?
Oof. Michael Jordan of scootering.
The MJ.
R. Willie.
Hell yeah. He's a
R.
solid
Willie.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
minus the controversy though, because R. Willie is like the nicest person you're ever gonna meet. So
I didn't
Yeah.
even heard about an R. Willie
Yeah.
controversy.
no, I mean the Jordan controversy.
Oh,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
Jordan
apparently it was a
Clark.
scumbag. Yeah, I actually watched a reel about that the other day.
Yeah.
About Jordan Clark?
Michael Jordan.
Oh.
No, no.
Oh.
Asking some dude to pay him 15 grand to
Oh.
take a
Yeah.
picture. Some shit.
That's crazy.
So yeah, definitely R. Willie. I mean, that dude has done so much for the sport, and it's one of those people that I feel like are just still super underrated, even though he's got the exposure on the outside of the sport.
Yeah.
I feel he's got nowhere near enough exposure and gratitude from the community. So
Yeah.
I mean,
It's all
this
my
dude
little kids.
put scooters on the map for the masses. Let's face this. I mean, sure, Andrew Broussard, he rode the Mini Mega or whatever as the first person, I think,
Yeah, he did.
and props for that. But yeah, I mean, R. Willie literally like showed off scootering to so many people. It's not even funny.
Yeah, he's the first scooter celebrity. Like,
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
for sure.
he's definitely the first scooter rider that signed like a multi-million-dollar deal. So
Shout out our Willie. Please come on our
Crazy.
podcast.
Willie,
Ryan.
Willie, ride my wheels.
We'll get them together, bro.
Oh, that would be a dream.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Anything's possible. All right. Well, dude, number two. And I want you to talk your shit because I know it's in there. Is what do you think the worst trend in scootering is?
Oh man. Oh man.
It's a
Okay.
couple.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys, are you guys even ready for this?
Yes.
I'm pretty ready.
I mean, the worst trend in scootering. Okay, I'm gonna separate the answer to like two parts. So number one, the trend that's within like the scooter community,
hmm
that'd be Instagram. I'm sorry. People
Okay.
are just way too focused on social media. Uh, fun fact, the reason why Andreas Wondercrab is on vinyl and has signature wheels is not because of Instagram. It's because I saw his edit on Trendkill
Yeah.
and just fell in love with the whole thing. Messaged him like 10 minutes later. The next day we talk and he's on.
Yeah.
It's like
Hell
that
yeah.
fast. And
Yeah.
then I think it took 3 or 4 months before I offered signature wheels to him. Because I had a good feeling about him and I wasn't wrong. Shout out Andreas. Another dude that you should like have a podcast with because he is the number one influence in Switzerland right now and doing like he's organizing the street jams and everything. And like the amount of work he puts into it, not just the street jam, but the community overall, is crazy. Like he even had like a video premiere in a cinema, like a proper fucking
Yeah.
cinema. So
Fuck yeah.
That's sick.
so yeah, that would be probably like the community. And then the industry overall, I'd say there's two that I really, really don't like. Number one is just the extreme drop off of riders past 20.
Yeah.
That is the number one reason why the industry is struggling sometimes and why we have these scooter kids sort of calling the shots for so many brands and why we don't have that like culture being held up to what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. You know, life happens. You get a girlfriend. Sometimes you even get a kid already. But come on, like don't drop off like that. I mean, I understand it for a bit. I understand it because there isn't a lot that the industry can offer at the moment for the older rider. There
Yeah.
really isn't. Because majority of the parts are small as fuck, right? Like bars are just tiny. I'm 189, 190 centimeters. So over 6 feet, I think that would be. And like if I didn't make my custom bars, I'd be struggling big time.
Mhm. Yeah.
Then again, until a few years ago, decks were just small as well. Like I can't ride a 5 when my foot is 45, size 45.
Yeah.
Like, come on, when you put your foot on a 45-degree angle, it shouldn't overhang anywhere on the deck. And with a 5, it still does for me. So I ride a 7 now, and it's at that point I'm like, yes, finally, it's something that I can ride. Yeah, I can't ride anything under
Yeah.
16.
I feel like it's how people identify with scootering too, or a lot of people. Like a lot of people when they're young, they want to make it like some, I don't know, career or some shit. They want to be sponsored. They have these big dreams. Um, and they
But I mean,
expect too much
yeah,
from it. But it's like it should just be, I don't know, it's a format to have fun and meet friends and stay active more than it is like a platform to fucking get anything from just because they're scootering's too small to like expect too much. And it's like,
Yeah.
and you see it so much more in skateboarding where it's like people identify with it so hard they'll never put it down. Like they'll always identify as a skateboarder and they'll want to keep skating, even though they know damn well they're not going to be pro. They're not going to
yeah,
fucking win medals or do all this shit, but they just love identifying with being a skateboarder. Whereas, like, I
yeah.
don't think scootering has that. Like, a lot of people don't want to identify with being a scooter rider,
Definitely,
which I
definitely.
get it. And there's
I
like
mean,
an aesthetic to it.
yeah, and I mean, it's a vicious circle because when you think about it, why don't people want to identify as scooter riders? Because the industry is made out of 14, 15-year-old kids.
Little kids, yeah. It's like
Why is it
it's
made out of 14,
grow
15-year-old
up.
kids? Because the riders drop off and it
Mm-hmm.
just repeats itself. So, I mean, I definitely understand why people want to be sponsored and all that. I mean, we all have that, let's face it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But being sponsored in scootering, unless you're at the top level, is nowhere near what people think it is. Number one, I've been sponsored as well for a bit. I mean, obviously, I was like Flow or M, but uh, it's not what you think it is. And for me, working on my own scooter company, even though it was a lot harder and a lot more stressful, gave me more satisfaction than being sponsored. Doing shit for the community gives me more satisfaction than being given shit from the community.
Yeah.
And like if half of the people that want to get sponsored would think, "Oh, what can I do to make the community better?" Then I'm telling you, not that many people would be dropping off because all of a sudden something special would start happening. And when people do those things because they want to and not because they are looking to get something out of it, that makes wonders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amen,
So
brother.
I guess that's the
Do the
number one
same
thing.
thing.
That's the number one shitty
You're
trend.
working a lot harder than us though.
Yeah.
Like fucking going all out and not asking for anything in return, and then having riders asking you to sponsor them and give them like €1,000 salary a month. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just unrealistic, man. And we did all have those dreams. I definitely, when I was 15, 16, thought I was like, I'm going to get sponsored by the time I'm done with high school.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to need a job. Like,
Yeah.
and
Hey,
then
but you know, like
life
this,
hits.
like if yeah, exactly. But if there is like one way to make this a reality, it is to make the industry more friendly towards older riders,
Mm-hmm.
because it's the older riders that are willing to spend more money on parts. It's not the kids, because the kids are not paying for it. It's their parents usually.
Mm.
So you get stuck in this niche market with, for example, decks, right? Decks under €200 because parents don't want to buy anything more of it than €200. And then obviously, I mean, there's only so much margin you can have on a scooter part when you want to sell it retail 200.
Mm-hmm.
So, like my number one ask of anybody in the industry is just like settle down, look around you, see what can be improved, and then do something about it. And when everybody starts doing that, in a year and a half, all of a sudden we're gonna start attracting the older riders. They're gonna start staying because there's jams, there's events, there is whatever you want, premieres.
Mm-hmm.
Because I want to go to a scooter video premiere and get drunk with my friends.
Yeah.
That's what I would love to do,
Yes.
right? As long as you're of age, of course.
Yeah.
But like I can't. I had to drive all the way to Switzerland to do that because
Mm-hmm.
there's maybe one or two premieres here a year at most. And usually they're not the kind of premieres I want to go to anyway. So
Yeah. No, 100%, dude. And you have so many skate events where it is like everybody's 20 plus easy. And then there's a lot of people in their 30s, 40s that like to be spectators and do it. Whereas a lot of scooter events, it's like, I mean, if I was 40 years old, I'd feel pretty fucking weird around like the people that are at these events because it's younger kids and then blah 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 blah. now it's like, I mean, it is getting older, so that is good to see. I mean, the
But I
Austin
mean,
Jam is
yeah,
older
yeah.
folk.
But I mean,
Um,
part of the problem is also the fact that like a lot of the organization behind the scenes is literally ran by parents
yeah.
or what I call Karens. Just, I'm a scooter mom. I'm gonna make your industry great. I'm gonna organize this and that. And then you just look at it and you see them just using it as a cash grab, nothing else.
Mhm.
One of the examples, and I don't know all the details, don't get me wrong, but just my personal perspective, while I'm this honest already, I might as well go all the way. When I've seen the Australian ASA, whatever the fuck that was supposed to be, and
Oh
like
yeah.
them building the skate park literally like a day before, how the fuck are we letting this happen? Seriously. Like I get it. A lot of the people taking part were young kids and whatnot, but how are we like we as an industry need to come together and put up a big middle finger to people like this and literally boycott it. One of
Hmm.
the riders that were one of the people that was really vocal about this was Ray. Ray runs I think it was Scooter Rider on Instagram. He runs the German meme page, right? Where you see all the
Okay.
Germans getting pissed drunk in Barcelona and shit. It's funny as hell. But he was very vocal about this, and he got like there were and like the people probably manipulated like a fuck ton of kids to report him on Instagram, and he had like a ban for 2 weeks just for speaking out about this.
Yeah.
Damn.
How is this okay?
Yeah.
Seriously.
That is ridiculous, man. I didn't know that's actually what happened is they filmed the park the day before the contest and
It was something ridiculous like that because I
yeah.
remember I think they canceled like two qualifiers like 2 days prior, and like a day prior to the contest they were still building it. And when you look at it, I think at least don't
Hmm.
quote me on that, but I think the ramps were from the old Monster skate park, just start somewhere and then just put on a flat piece of ground and just bolt it
Hmm.
together. So yeah, I mean, just why,
Yeah.
there's so many brands out there and so many people that would be down to organize contests and cannot because the people in charge won't let them because they are controlling the money. And for example, I had this idea of doing like an invitational contest that would be live streamed here in Czech Republic for 5 years now. But when I was doing like the rough calculation, how much money it would actually cost and how many sponsors I would actually have to get on board, I realized that it's not viable because Czech Republic is a small country. It doesn't have the reach. It doesn't have like that sexiness of the UK or France.
Hmm.
So,
How
you
much
know,
do you think it costs to put
you're
together a
talking.
contest like that?
I mean, it depends, right? So my idea for the invitational was to do it in an indoor skate park in the middle of winter, because usually after Christmas, between Christmas and March, April, there's nothing going on. So we could fill that space, that void with this one contest and make that type of time of the year actually somewhat interesting. And for me, I think it would be about 4 or 5 thousand euros just because you have to rent out that place. I have one or two in mind that could work like that. Then on top of it, like if you're serious about this, you will want to have an ambulance on site.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. So that's another 500 euros easy to just have two medics there. I mean, granted, my mother is a doctor, so I could have her there, but you still need that ambulance if shit goes south to transport the person to the hospital. And then you obviously have the judges, you have the technical staff behind it because I would want to have it live streamed. So you would have at least 3, 4 cameras, probably rent it off of people, ideally, not off rentals. So yeah, I think you're talking 4 or 5 thousand euros just to do this, and then on top of it, and which is like the number one thing, in order
Prize
to
money.
attract riders, you need to have prize money.
Yeah.
I'm not talking 1,000 euros for the winner, like that's nothing.
Hmm.
If they're going to be throwing double flares and whatnot, you want them to have at least 2 grand just for it to make sense.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I still haven't given up on it. It's still in my head, so I might do it one day. But I'm hoping I can do it as a vinyl invitational one day, so the brand might have enough means to do this on our own without needing other sponsors.
Yeah.
Be sick.
That'd be fucking awesome, man. I mean, that definitely is a big one. Is it just I would love to see more money in competitions.
Yeah.
People get pennies for doing crazy shit, like putting their lives on the line. They get pennies. It's not even going to pay for their hospital bill.
But I mean, then again, this argument of money, and good thing that we stumbled upon this because this is like a really interesting thing. I don't know how much time we have left, but um
Super gone.
when it comes to money in scootering, like the problem is not that we don't have the money in the industry. We do have money in the industry. The problem is the way it's spent and where it's going. And
The money's not in the right
thinking
hands.
I'm thinking how to put this diplomatically. There is a lot of brands out there, and I'm not going to be specific just because it doesn't make sense to be specific, because I would call out one, but there's so many other that wouldn't get called out that are not owned by riders. And don't get me wrong, being rider owned is nowhere near the recipe for a good scooter brand, and people need to understand this. There's plenty of shitty rider owned brands that are doing a worse job than corporate owned brands. But when you look on the on the top end, there is so many corporate owned brands pushing product, sponsoring riders. Yeah, they're paying the riders maybe 600 euros, 1,000 euros salary. But then again, uh, since they are so big and since they're taking up so much of the market, they're taking away the profit from those for themselves that could be going into rider owned or rider friendly companies, right? They're doing it for the right reasons. So usually these are the brands that are just doing sports equipment overall, selling in Walmart and all that. And then they have create a brand, probably can put two and two together who I'm talking about. First they try this fucking weird double peg idea, and then all of a sudden, a few years later they come back with good product. Don't get me wrong, right? But they flood the market. They flood the market with product at a price point that the small brand is not going to be able to afford. And all of a sudden, instead of these small brands selling their product and keeping the profit, paying the riders, and investing into the community because they know where and how to invest, you have two or three big brands are corporate owned taking up this portion of the market. And that profit is not going back into the sport. They're going to give a salary to a rider because they need the rider to sell the product. But if they didn't need the rider to sell the product, they would never pay him.
Yeah.
Right. And if I have riders here that are helping me out, not sometimes even pouring, I had one of the few of the guys even helping pour wheels, right? And I don't have the money to pay them because there is a brand that goes to China with a $10,000, buys Chinese wheels, slaps a branding on it, goes to all the goes to all the retailers, gives them a great margin to motivate them to sell this, and then takes all that profit and buys a Lambo for it for the owner, then how the fuck am I supposed to compete with that?
Yeah.
So that's if we want to get this sport back on track and healthy, we should literally cut away all these sorts of brands. And again, I mentioned some specifics, so some of you will probably understand who I'm talking about. But it's just one of the examples. And I'm not saying like the people behind these brands are necessarily shit or whatever or bad people. They're businessmen. That's just how business goes.
Yeah.
But it's our decision to support them. It's our decision to keep them in this. And if we didn't do that, then they would drop off, and the true brands would stay.
Yeah. Yeah. The people that actually want to see money back into scootering. I'm telling you, when tenfour, when we're cranking 1 million a year, I'm not buying a Lambo. Listen, I am not gonna buy any fancy cars, any luxuries. No, sir.
And there's
I
there's a
can't see
difference.
myself doing it.
Yeah, there is a difference between like buying a nice car. Because for example, me buying a nice car was one of the reasons why Analog failed, because I bought it at the wrong time. But there's a
Mm.
difference between buying a nice car that you earned because I literally like. So here's a fun fact. When Analog was going really well, there was a time when I was that busy that I slept every 2 days. So I'd
Oof.
go 48 hours, go to sleep. 48 hours, go to sleep. Because I just couldn't keep up otherwise. It was just me doing it. So thanks to that, I have sleep apnea, so I stop breathing during the night, so I have to sleep with a mask.
Jesus.
So that's the level of effort I had to put in. So in my opinion, there's nothing wrong with me then buying an Audi that I did, right?
Yeah.
It was secondhand, whatever, but it was something nice that I wanted to have. Sure, the timing was shit, and that's on me, and I know that that's where I made my mistake. But if the timing wasn't wrong, there's nothing wrong with me buying something like that.
Yeah.
But I wasn't in a situation where I had a fuck ton of riders doing their best promoting my product, not getting paid,
Yeah.
right? I wasn't in a situation where I was literally like milking the industry for hundreds of thousands of euros and then buying a Lambo and not supporting a single contest.
Yeah.
That's like if anybody gave, for example, Broussard or KK or Cyril shit for buying a brand new BMW. Why the fuck wouldn't they? Like they earned
Yeah.
that shit.
That's blood, sweat, and tears. Yeah, you're not just stamping a
You
logo,
know, yeah. I
playing the
mean,
game.
oil.
I have plenty of things that I disagree with, for example, with Andrew Broussard or whoever else, right? But you cannot take this away from them. They did a fuck ton for the industry and they would deserve something like that. So
You convinced me. Okay, I'll probably buy a Lambo at some point.
hey,
Was
as
already
long
nah,
pissed
just
off, Paxton.
I
uh,
can send you like a toy model of a Lambo if you want.
yeah, that should hold me over.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah,
But
like
no, man, you make great points. It's just people the money's going in a lot of the wrong places just because they are good at business. They got good business models, but they're not in it for the right reasons. They just they're in it for making money, which I'm never gonna say making money is gonna be a bad reason. But it's just we want to see money where it's going to actually grow the sport. And then there's more opportunities to make even more money when there's like more people that are doing it. There's
hey,
people that are going to keep doing it.
the easiest way to help mitigate this issue, and I really want to stress this, maybe we can even like put it as a title or whatever. Like go buy directly from the brands.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying stop buying from your local shop by any means, because the local shops are usually the ones that are sort of supporting the local culture. But when you go and buy from a shop, half of the money you spend stays with the shop, and the other half goes to the distributor or the brand, depending on how they do the business. When you go and buy directly from the brand, all that money goes to the brand. So if you see a brand that, for example, is struggling, the best way to help them is to go buy direct from them, right? And if people did this, half the time they're buying scooter parts, if they did one time buying directly from the brand, other time buying from a shop, then trust me, it would be a lot better. And for example, when you go and look at the retailer space, for example, here in Europe, so many people are buying from people like Skate Pro. Well, and I worked with Skate Pro. I'm just as guilty as anybody else. But not that many people know that Skate Pro is actually Centrano. So what they do is they buy from brands like Enlock used to be. They act like they're a distributor in Europe. And while they're helping out those brands big time because they're able to sort of give them money upfront for productions and stuff like that, where they make it up like twice, three times as much is the fact that they buy these products at a distributor price. So that's I'm going to illustrate it on an example of $10, right? A product costs $10. I'm a brand and I make a product for $10. I'm going to sell it to the distributor for 20, right? Then the distributor buys it at 20, uh, slaps another 20, 30% on top, sometimes even 50%. So let's say it's the worst case scenario, 50%. So they buy at 20, sell to the shops at 30, but then when you have that that shop price $30, you have to sell retail 60 because the shop always gets 100%. So all of a sudden, they as Centrano buy for 30 or 20, sorry, they buy for 20, and then they through Skate Pro sell at 60. While every other shop buys for 30, not 20, 30, and sells at 60. See how fucked up that is?
Yeah.
And that's for example who Tilt is doing business through. No shots against Tilt. Just saying, just putting it out there. Tilt, Proto, River, North, Apex, all these brands go through Centrano. and Skate Pro. So literally any shop out there that's selling these brands product is making less money on it than Centrano and Skate Pro. And things like this should be fucking illegal because it's just causing a monopoly. Because then Skate Pro can go and discount everything by $10, and they're still going to be making the same money like the shop selling it as a usual at the usual rate. And they've done this in the past. So go figure. So support your local shops, shop directly from brands. Let's get these guys out of the business for a bit because it's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah,
And I
if you
know I'm
guys,
going to catch a lot of flack for this, and I don't care.
yeah,
I'm
if
gonna
anybody
just speak it how
bought
it is.
something off of Skate Pro for Cyber Monday, you weren't actually
Fuck
getting the
you.
deal.
Now, I mean, let's put it this way: like Skate Pro does support the scenes. Let's make that clear. Like
They've
they
made
do.
some of my favorite videos. They funded some of my favorite videos.
Like it's
Like
not,
hands down.
it's not like they're doing everything wrong. What I'm not taking shots at them personally. I'm taking shots at that business idea
Yeah.
of
No, I see
buying
what it makes a monopoly, man. It's
of buying at a distributor rate and selling at a retailer rate, right? And then using that to sort of outcompete the competition because that's just an unfair advantage.
yeah.
So yeah, that's my portion of causing issues for myself for the future.
Yeah. Hell
We
yeah.
love
No,
you,
that was
Skate
good.
Pro. We'd like to get you some t-shirts, maybe some wheels. If
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
watching
yeah.
this, if you say no, man, y'all suck. You guys need to get your distribution prices up to the retail prices and make this a fair fight. But on that note, number 3, most underrated rider.
Oof, most underrated rider. Um, Give me a second. My dog just wants to go out on the balcony. I guess Samuel Kudela, one of our riders from Slovakia.
Oh shit,
Uh,
is that dude does like the full whip back 50s and all that? Yeah, he's sick.
yeah. He like fun fact, like he's from a city that's just a shithole in the middle of Slovakia. And keep in mind, I'm half Slovakian, so nothing against that country at all. But like the more east you go, the shittier it gets. So anything if you go any more east, if like right before you get to Russia, there's only Ukraine, and then you're in Russia. So it's that like geographic position. But like he really doesn't have the conditions that you would think he would have, considering the level of his riding, because he's hitting all these jackass fucking street spots, rails that are like above hip height, and he hops into them in a 50 and full whips out of it like it's nothing.
Yeah.
So it's probably Samuel. Yeah, Samuel. And then obviously I got a shout out my boy Indra Butal. He has the blue signature wheels with us. It's a very similar story with him. I mean, his conditions are a little better just because he's in Czech Republic and we have a little bit better conditions here overall for scooter riding. But yeah, he's a very technical, in my opinion, also a very underrated rider. So that would be Czech Republic. Overall, Pep Bea is another one. He just dropped a video where he really showed his skills, and I'm really happy about that. So maybe he's not going to be as underrated anymore, but that would be probably another one. And then for Germany, maybe Philipp Lesch. Not sure if you guys heard of him, but he used to ride for Chile, Analog, and Vinyl for a bit. He now works for the German shop Neon Box. Shout out Neon Box. Hit us up. We still got wheels for you. But he now runs their marketing on whatever, so he's not as active as a rider anymore. But back in the day, like he would kill it, and not that many people would know him. So,
Fuck yeah.
maybe, so yeah, those people probably.
Yeah, there's some riders we ought to look up. Go do your homework.
Yep.
Well, number 5 is suggestion to. Oh no, wait. Excuse me. Number 4. Did you learn tail whips or bar spins first?
Oh, definitely tail whips. But fun fact, I'm not sure. Like, if you probably look up my name on YouTube, you can see one of my videos and see me tail whip. But my tail whips are super weird. In the beginning, I used to even kick myself in the butt because my back foot just folds when I do them for some fucked up reason.
Yeah.
So when you, for example, think Joel Wesma Irvin from Australia, where he does this tail whips like off center, So something similar to, oh, Poon. Poon has a very similar
Yeah.
tail whip to mine.
That's what I was thinking. The
Oh
butt kick.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely tail whips. And I landed on my foot when I did my first tail whip. I'm pretty sure I broke something in it as well. So yeah.
Man, and people say scootering's easy.
I mean, it's easier to start doing tricks, but then to
Absolutely.
be actually good, it's so much harder.
Yeah, that's what I say. I say skating has a harder learning curve. I'd say both skating and bikes have a harder learning curve, but then it all levels out.
I mean,
Um,
from in my opinion, like BMX is probably like the toughest just to just learn stuff because you literally have to send it. Like the
yeah,
fear factor there is, I think, the biggest because with skateboarding, you can just kick the board, land on your feet, same with scooters. But with bikes, getting rid of the bike under you is really hard.
True.
great point. You got the list pulled up, Austin? You want to give him number 5?
Number 5 is a suggestion to further the sport.
Suggestion to further the sport. So number one, I think there should be some sort of roundtable with all the scooter brands in Europe, in the US, and worldwide in terms of working together, but not as, say, World Skate Association or something like that. Even though they're doing a good job, I think we should have some sort of like an industry association. Pierre Camois, he used to work for Fusion and the helmets.
S1.
S1, thank you. He's just started Scootrade, which is like an industry newsletter journal type of thing. So I think we need more of that. Just more brands talking together, exchanging ideas, agreeing on what they're gonna do, letting maybe the smaller brands sort of giving them the spotlight for a bit as well. So that's number one. Number two, we need to sort of rethink the distribution side of the sport because especially with brands like vinyl, you can get to the point where the brand is making less money on a product than a shop. While the shop just buys and sells and markets, the brand manufactures, markets, distributes, warranties, sponsors, all that. And that's just not right, in my opinion. So that's another thing that I think should be rethought because the status quo here has been here ever since the beginning. And I think it's time we sort of look into it. Maybe, not offer as high of margins for the smaller stuff, just an idea. And then,
Right.
yeah, obviously we need to have more events and we need to be more picky in terms of what brands we sponsor because there's too many brands in the pot right now that are just there just because they're there, not really contributing. So I guess just think more before you buy parts. Don't just look at how they look and how they feel, but who's behind them, how long they last, and how the people behind them actually act and further the sport. So yeah, more due diligence.
Oh yeah. Well, I know Austin's got to get to work. I'm gonna go get some breakfast as well. But last one, I think this is the perfect question to end it on. Is what's your favorite moment in scootering, Ben?
Mm, favorite moment in scootering. There's been two. Again, I'm really shit at having one
Yeah,
thing
you're
specific.
good, man.
It's okay.
Uh, so for me personally, was my trip to Australia when I visited Scooter Hut, and it was the first time I sat on like really like white sand beach and Gold
Yeah.
Coast, and
Oh
that's where I
yeah.
was like, shit, I probably made it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I went on tour with Scooter Brad for 2 weeks after, even though I don't agree with what he portrays by now. Back then we were okay friends and it was a fun time. So probably that. And then overall in the sport, I think that would be, and I'm really not sure if you guys remember it. Remember when there was this, it was one of the first big contests in D side in the UK, 20, yeah, 2012, 2013. So it was the beginning of ISA.
Okay.
Oh hell
And
yeah. That
it was
little
like the
yeah.
first UK
Yeah.
contest with ISA. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to go, but it was the first time that I realized, hey, like this sport is actually pretty big. There's actually so much we can do here. So that would probably be one of my favorite moments. But yeah, I mean, there's so many more from our Willie, 540 flare to all these. But yeah,
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
D-side contest was probably for me was like the time when I realized the sport has huge potential.
Fuck yeah. Eye opening.
That's
That and
sick.
then
Yeah.
being on the beach with Scooter Brad.
Yeah.
Well, dude, it's been so nice talking to you. You have a lot of really good insights. Like we've never gotten to talk to somebody about any of this, and I think
Yeah.
it's very
That's
eye-opening.
cool.
So
Well,
thank you.
thank
Yeah.
you guys for the opportunity. Before we go, I just want to give a fat shout out to Josh Toy. He helped me with a lot with the US stuff, and I know that he's probably out there listening. So just a big fat hi and thank you, Josh. Hope to talk to you soon. And yeah, thank you guys for doing this podcast. It's great. We need more people like you, and I'm hoping to become the headline sponsor for tenfour for 2024. Ooh, ooh, ooh,
Fuck
ooh.
yeah. Yeah,
Fuck
man. We'll
yeah.
definitely keep in touch. And yeah, if I didn't have to go to work, I'd say let's keep this going. But with the time change, it's just a
You're
little
good.
tough.
You're good.
But yeah, let's definitely I'm hyped to roll with you. And yeah,
Hey,
episode 30 something.
if
30
anybody's
some.
if anybody's interested in buying blem wheels and whatnot, just getting their hands on something from us while not paying the full price, go follow me and message me on Instagram. It's Adrian_analog. Or you can go to Vinyl Scootering and message us through there, and we can always figure something out. I'm trying to hook up as many people for Christmas with blem wheels as possible. I know the times are tough, so I'm gonna make sure that everybody gets hooked up.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah. All
Fuck yeah.
righty. Well, if you
That's
made it
dope,
this
man.
far, thank you
Yeah.
guys. 10
All right.
4.
Four.
Thank you.
Over
Bye
and
bye,
out.
guys.